Where is God when it hurts? Hello, my name is Joanna Daniel. If this is your first time watching me, I'm a counselor and speaker and author, and I run a ministry called Wounds to Scars, where we work with adult survivors of childhood trauma and women who experience abuse. Now, we do that through conferences, retreats, and online courses. Our next conference is March 25 to 27. I'll put the link below the video so you can access it. And you can register and join us for 3 days of amazing content, amazing transformation, I will call it. So our conferences are always transformative. So where is God when it hurts? I get that questions quite a lot, not shaped so much in the same, with the same words in the same way, but just people wondering when I experienced pain, when I was going through my trauma, where was he? Now, this is not an apologetics video. This is not something to defend God. I don't think he needs defending. And I think he can do that all by himself and don't need me to help with that. But I just want to speak to for people who are hurting. I remember asking that question in the midst of the pain. Where are you? How? Why? How could you? And I remember as I asked that question, the image of the cross came to mind. And I knew that, what I was going through was not anything in comparison to what Jesus went through, but he went through that for me to let me know that he was wounded for my transgressions and he was bruised for my iniquities, that surely he has borne my grief and carried my sorrows. So when I asked the question, where are you? He was right there with me, but when we ask questions, I don't believe that God is afraid of our questions. I don't believe it's wrong or anything like that to ask questions. I believe that in Isaiah 1 verse 18, he says, come now and let us reason together. He wants us to be able to talk with him because that's what relationship is, isn't it? We're in relationship. Your relationships with your best friends, with your partners, with your children, with people who you care about and wants to connect with, we talk to them and we allow them to talk back to us. And that's the invitation that is in Isaiah 1 verse 18. Come and let us talk. So if you have questions because you've experienced something that you feel was so traumatic and you felt alone in that pain, I think it's okay to go to him and say, where were you? Why? How come? Those are normal questions that people ask when they're in pain. And I don't believe that God's afraid of them. I believe that he welcomes them because the invitation is come and let us talk, come and let us reason, come and let us talk. So when I asked, where were you? And the image of the cross came to mind, I knew then where he was, because Jesus also asked that question, my God, why have you forsaken me? And we know that he wasn't forsaken, he was doing what he was supposed to. Now I know that the pain that we've gone through, the traumas that we've experienced, it's not necessarily these were assigned to us or it was ordained or anything like that. Evil happens, things happens, and we bear the brunt and the consequences of those things that happens. And it's again normal to ask why, because sometimes the traumas that we experience them early in life. There's no explanation for why an adult would use their freedom to choose to cause pain and hurt on a child. And often adults make those decisions. And many of us are struggling with pain. Many of us are struggling with things. Many of us are just unable to cope because of developmental trauma, because the trauma happens so early in life, in those early developmental stages where it changes us. It changes. Trauma can change your physiology, and when that happens, and as an adult, you are grappling with, how do I heal and how do I fix this? It's not something that we can ignore. It's not something that we can pretend that wasn't there. We can't pray it away because unfortunately it has happened. And so, somebody said last night in the group that we have for women who are healing from sexual abuse, somebody said, healing is hard. Healing is a journey, and it often is not an easy journey. And that's many things that people don't tell you about. But we want to be honest with you. Healing is a tough journey. It's better when you do that journey in relationships, when you do that journey in community. And that's why I do groups, because I believe in community. I believe that our pain happens in relationships, in community. Another person hurt us, and it's in that relationship, in that community, that we're going to heal. And so I do groups because I believe in community. I believe that together in community, we can heal, we can understand each other, we can learn, and we can grow. We can hear each other's pain, we can relate to each other's pain, we can know that this person experienced similar things to me and they have healed. Therefore, that's a guide that I can heal. That's somebody that I have to look up to look towards, that they can tell me where some potholes are and there's some things that I can avoid that I wouldn't have known if I was trying to figure this thing out all by myself. I don't believe that we can figure life out all by ourselves. We weren't meant to be islands, on our own. We were created to connect. When we have experienced trauma and hurt, especially early in life, it does something to trust. It damages trust. And therefore, part of healing is rebuilding trust. And we do that, build enough trust in relationships. When I see women come together and share honestly and authentically, and they're vulnerable, I know that that work is happening, because it's in that process that that work of trust is happening. And it's as we work to rebuild trust that we can answer the question for ourselves: where were you? Where was God when it hurts? Because it's through that process, that mirroring from a counselor, that mirroring from the other people in your group who have experienced pain, who are healing, who are learning how to build healthy relationships. And so they're learning how to build healthy relationships with you, with themselves, and with other people. And so we learn how to build it with God too. So when we hear the invitation, come and let's reason together, we're not afraid of it, because we know that he is willing to hear us, because we have a mirror of other people who have heard us. Last week, I got a message that really blessed me. And the feedback was, thank you for the things that you do in the groups that you do, because I am healing from this thing and it's really hard. And I'm mourning, but I'm mourning at peace. And I thought, peace and mourning, we don't mourn in peace, but here is somebody mourning at peace, because she says, I now know that I'm accepted and I'm loved, because these groups that you do mirrors that to me. And so that's why we need the relationship, because it does a lot of work in helping the individual to heal. And as I said, when we do that, then we can answer the questions for ourselves, because you come to that place for yourself. So I can tell you a lot of stuff. I can tell you where God was. I can tell you, based on my experience, where he was, how he was, what was happening. But what's even better, and it's going to be even more impacting for you, is when you can do that journey for yourself, because you have been with your pain, you have sat with it, you have listened to it, you have talked, you've listened to others, you've shared, you've touched the tender places, you've implemented coping mechanism, you've done it for the 100th time, and finally it looks like it's working. You've rewired, you've reset your nervous system, you've done the hard work, you've put the time in. You're the best person to answer that question for yourself. So when you go in conversation with him, as the relationship grows and develops, you can sit and answer that question for yourself. And you can sit with your journal, you can sit with your friend as you talk to them. I share my story of where he was, but I had to do that process before I knew where he was. I couldn't place him before. I could not place him before. I had to do the work, had to do the process of healing before I was able to go, oh, okay, right. So that's where you were. I'm able now to place him. Because you see, sometimes the pain blocks us, our vision. The pain blocks our vision of God. The pain blocks our view of self. The pain blocks our view of other people. The pain blocks our view of everything that's good. Sometimes pain takes away from us. It tells us that we're alone, we're unworthy, we're unloved, we're not good enough. Pain tells us lies about ourselves, and it blocks who we are from ourselves. So as you heal, you begin to know and understand yourself in a deeper way. You begin to see yourself in a deeper way. You begin to become comfortable with who you are and who you were meant to be. So you're able to understand and to believe when the word of God says, I have plans for you. I have plans to prosper you, to give you hope and a future. So despite pain saying you're never going to amount to anything, and you can hear that tape playing over and over in your mind, you are now, because you've done the work of healing, you can now start to believe. So when you go to accept the invitation in Isaiah 1 verse 18 to come and let us talk, you can go say, tell me about myself. Tell me who I am. Because this thing that I went through my whole life and for so many years, it takes who I am, and it's told me things about myself, that I've made decisions, that I've lived a life, that I'm realizing as I'm in community that is really different and contrary. That's probably not what you wanted from me. So tell me who I am. Give me a definition of myself, one that I can go and I can use as a blueprint to live the rest of my life. Tell me who I am. I invite you to do that, because when he begins to unfold over time who you are, you're going to be in the place to believe it. Because sometimes he can unfold a vision of us. He will not unfold a vision of us prematurely. Who he's told me who I am this year, this month, this last month that has passed, if you told me that 5 years ago, I wouldn't have believed him. I wouldn't have listened. It would have kind of just gone over my head. But he's told me now, because of places that he's taken me through, and I can sit with him and I can believe him. And because I know I belong, I know who I am, I know whose I am, and I know where he is and where he fits. I know where he's always been. So once again, where is God when it hurts? That's a process and a question that only you and him can answer. As you do that work of understanding, of accessing, of processing, of healing, of building resilience and creating your window of tolerance, of managing your triggers and going through the hard work of dealing with the traumas that you've experienced. As those things take away, it's kind of like when you're dusting and you haven't dusted for a while, and dust is everywhere, and you're cleaning your furniture, and suddenly you realize that the beauty of this piece that was hidden, that's what begins to unfold. You begin to unfold. The beauty that is in you begin to unfold. And it's through that process you answer the question for yourself. I'm going to put my email in the above or below this video. When you start that work, send me an email and let me know how it's developing for you. If you haven't started it and you're looking for a community where you could start that work, I'm also going to put my email below this video, and I'll let you know as things are happening here at Wounds to Scars, some of the things that we're doing to provide a safe space for you to be able to heal in, so you can answer that question. Have an amazing day. Bye.